So, yes, sir.
So it's not me, just to clarify, but somebody, the CrossFitters had a CPR training. What they were, if anybody has nipple rings,
Oh, yes.
they have to be removed because that doesn't do well with the electric charge.
You're absolutely correct. Metal is bad, and that's why we cut the bra because of the metal.
Again, not me.
That being said,
You can't see.
that
What
being
about a belly button ring or something?
that being, I don't
You
care
can
about.
see, I'm talking further down.
No, I don't care about. Wait, guys.
Yeah, not me.
I'm going to answer this very quickly. If it's jewelry and it gets pushed up, you're fine. All we care about is this, and this.
Right.
This is the area. Because what's happening is it's like a bullet. It's going from one side to the other.
What if they had a pacemaker or something?
That's a great question. If they have a bulge in their chest and it's on this side, if they have an IV port up here for pain management, if they have a medical patch, you rip it off, you wipe it off, you take the pad and you just move it a little bit lower. The fact is that pacemaker is doing that person no good. That defibrillator is doing no good. So if it's doing no good, it's not helping me. Another question that people always have is, Alex, what if the person's pregnant? Quite frankly, the baby is secondary to the mother in this case. Because we're in the field, we're not in a hospital setting. I can't help that baby. I can only help that engine, that mother's engine, which is their heart. Make sense? Any other questions, Pam? No, I know you had another one, that's why. And I wanted to make sure I answered them all.
Alex?
Yes, sir.
Am I correct in understanding that the pad
Yes.
is hooked up to the defibrillator and that administers the shock?
Actually,
Directly onto the...
yes. And the nice thing about these particular pads, I thought this was an open pair, but it's not. It's a pad, and there's a blue thing in the middle, and there's another pad. And it's actually like a piece of Swiss cheese. It's got holes in it so that it can breathe, and it's got sticky things on it. The reason why we shave that person is so that it doesn't go onto the hair, and it'll only go onto the chest. Because if it goes onto the hair and it doesn't respond, you're never going to get a shockable rhythm. And that's what this is all about. Okay? Again, the pads always need to be replaced. The battery has a life to it. It's a non-rechargeable battery, but it's a nickel battery. And you just pop it out right here. It tells you when you do it and away you go. Yes, sir.
That's when you carry around, but you said in the airports.
Yeah.
Why don't they have it near a plug and they would keep them plugged in?
Because they don't need to be plugged in. Because
You charged. I'm sorry.
no, because it's more maintenance than needs to happen. These are self-contained units. If you have to plug something in, what if the power goes out?
No, I understand that, but.
And the other problem with those batteries,
Charge again.
the other problem with recharging batteries, and he could probably tell you better than I could, they have to be replaced as well. Because if you keep something recharged all the time, it won't keep its charge. And it'll end up going, then you'll have another problem.
They last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, they last 3 or 4 years. And quite frankly, it makes it a lot easier. I know it doesn't seem like it may not, but it actually makes it a lot easier. In terms of places that I work with, obviously coaches and places of worship are a big one, but office buildings are always ones. You know, some place like this where you have a lot of people coming through. But the fact is, getting this on somebody is the best thing that you can do. And if you can do nothing else, calling 911, and let's say you freak out like you like to say before, they're going to help you.
Right.
Find the chest, open it up, open up the thing, start pressing on the chest until somebody comes.
I see.
And I had a case, my first CPR, I was with my partner, and she's German. She's a nanny. And she started doing her count in German. I knew exactly what she was doing, but that's what she fell back to. Hey, you want to do it that way? Let's rock and roll. My point being is you have to adapt. Because the fact is, everybody in their house, we always have that one room that's always the smallest or the biggest. Nobody likes to fall in a nice big area like this. And people like Denise like to make really small bathrooms, don't you? And they like to make sure they're really small. Exactly. That's where the budget is. But and it's hysterical. You know, people love to have problems in public. They'll go to the bathroom. Why? Because that's where people go when they don't feel good. Or if they don't feel good and the room's spinning, what are they going to do? They're going to put their hand against the wall. Only one problem. The room's not spinning, they are. Their head's spinning. So it's never the perfect situation. And My role as an instructor is to give you options. And it's up to you to figure out, because we can kill as many people and we can save as many people as we want in here, but once you get across that door, that's real life, and that's scary stuff. So that's this part of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Pam, you have as many as you want.
This is fascinating to me. I've been meaning to learn this for many years, and I neglected to learn it, so I'm like thrilled to be learning it. It's obviously very complicated. Do you recommend purchasing one of these if you have an elderly relative to keep at their house?
Okay.
With you, or?
There was a big movement to have personal AEDs. And you know what? If you want to buy one, I'll be more than happy to sell it to you. But the fact is, if you have an elderly person, there's a couple questions that you need to know. Do they have a do not resuscitate order? Okay? What are their wishes? I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it. I'm saying you have to really go through the process of, is it needed? Not to mention, this is not a cheap item. I'm not going to lie. Talking about $1,500 possibly, or more, or less.
For that?
For that. How much is your life worth?
More than 1,500.
Oh, that's why.
How much is your fiance's life worth? No, but my point being is this, and it's not, I don't mean it to be
How much
funny.
without the battery?
$1,700. No, my point being is, yes, there are people out there that do have it for home use. But the fact is, it's not a common thing. It's not common. But,
So you wouldn't necessarily recommend it?
not necessarily, but I would say this. You go where the masses are. You do the statistics. Are they a churchgoer? Well, then they should have one at church. My mother, I hate to break the news to you, is my best salesperson. Everywhere she goes, and she's gone to a lot of churches lately, oh, you need an AD in here. Because if I'm going to be here, I got a bad heart. I'm like, okay, and I just step back. You don't mess with your mother. So you have to look at it that way. Where does that elderly person visit most? Maybe that's where it could be used a lot.